it's interesting when you talk about um, being the person or having like a solid personal energy. And I feel like I have a much lighter personal energy lately. And it's interesting because throughout all this, it seems impossible to like, yeah, ever have milestones or track anything or have like some like sequential process.
Mm.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
noticed, yeah, maybe a few months ago, I was like felt really frustrated in my mind about the concept of me or a person, and that's really softened. Like, not like I figured something out about it, but it's just like I think me all the time. I have a name. I do all these things. Like you call, refer to me as Becky. Like I have to do all these personal things, and
Mm.
uh, and that used to bother me because like that's just like our society identity, for example, right?
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I feel like I can feel things like when I'm in situations where I'm a little irritable and I notice that like, oh, I felt very irritable in this similar kind of situation. I kind of might attribute that a little bit to like less worry about me, maybe, less
Mm.
concern for me. Yeah.
Less concerned from you.
Or for me, like for
Mm.
Becky, the person, like to protect
Nice.
her and make sure that, that she gets what she needs. And
Mm.
yeah, like especially like, yeah, through thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I really like the subtle ways you're describing all of that because it does sound like there's just less and less control in all of these little ways. That's really, really nice.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense for me because I spent maybe a few years learning about awakening or spiritual concepts. And I became very afraid to suddenly change, even though I
Mm.
wanted that because I wanted to suffer much less. But the mind was very afraid because of, whatever I strung together, something like identity, like some death of identity. And I just became very afraid. Like, like it,
Yeah,
yeah, like that does sound scary, obviously, to change suddenly in a way that you couldn't even anticipate. So,
sure.
yeah. So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. The idea of this can feel traumatizing.
Yeah.
Like, the body can be in such fear of just the idea of it, like the imagination of what it might be like, which is not how it's like.
Yeah.
Usually it is quite incremental, like you're describing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel, yeah, that really is maybe, I do feel, I think, some increased concern for the body because, like you said, it's feeling more and more exposed, maybe eventually like naked. So it's
Mm.
just that awareness of like, I don't know, could look down a staircase and be like, ooh, really don't want to break my leg. Like, so
Totally.
yeah, which is so, this is the thing that's so strange. If there's like no control, but it sure as heck feels like I control my legs.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything you're saying makes a lot of sense and is a normal response to all of this. And I think I had to see that it's never about a future projection of anything because you cannot imagine what this is like, anyways. It's not even true. And the only thing that is real is just what's here. And I always had to come back to, well, what's here? And also, the body itself won't allow you to go to places it's not truly ready, anyways, because the reason why it's projecting into the future a good or bad thing is because it's sort of subtly fearful. You know, it wants some safety and knowing, even if it's a negative outcome, for some reason that feels more comfortable than just
Mhm.
being here, you know? And that's normal. So ultimately what this becomes about is what is it in the body that's so threatened, and that it is a very tender, understandable, should be very honored and held with a lot of care and tenderness. And really, that's all it ever truly wanted, to be given space, actually, to be given a true allowance to be as it is. And for some reason, sometimes that can allow the future projection to just kind of like soften in its own time, or be seen as, oh, this is a way of coping, which makes a lot of sense. But to live in that loop of hopefulness and then feeling despair, that can go on forever. And it's not really, neither of it is really that true.
Right. And I just want, so when you talk about future, I'm just wondering here as an pointer or as like future in all cases, like something simple, say to plan, to have the thought about doing
Mm,
something outside of here. Is that
mm.
is that the same idea? Like we're
Yeah, that's why this is really nuanced, because I think if you're doing something for your child and they have something that's coming up, like planning naturally happens. It's not a bad thing, you know? Or if you're traveling, like to plan the plane ticket and to print it out, or pack things like that, look at the weather. And those are all normal, like, I think they just make sense to do that kind of stuff. And I do find that that's kind of different than, and you're right that it's hard to parse through. That's why you're not going to be certain,
mhm.
you know? I was never sure about where exactly something is coming from, because it actually can be imbued with a lot of fear, the planning as well.
Mhm.
Even though it's rational and logical and makes sense, it still can be imbued with a lot of fear potentially. But yeah, either way, sometimes you just guess, like, this feels like the best thing to do, and yet maybe I am making decisions from fear, but like maybe that's not a problem. Maybe it is just an opportunity to feel that as well.
Yeah.
Or I also felt like taking it slow and never making rushed decisions seemed like always the best thing, because sometimes it also felt good to feel the fear before making a decision, or at least like sitting with it, not to get rid of it, but just to, like, I don't know, see what can arise from there.
Hmm.
Yeah, always taking it kind of like slow.
Yeah. I've noticed how like yes, rush decisions will happen because making the decision feels good. And then it's just like off your plate
Oh
and it can
yeah.
sit
It's just
with.
like done with, yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy though. But so this last week, I've had a couple opportunities to sit with some that I would have normally just done. And you see clarity come through, over time. It might not mean some perfect answer or anything, but all of a sudden now you have like more information to make the decision than if, I had rushed and done it half a day earlier. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. I've
Mhm.
done that as well. Um, yeah, largely, I think there was a period where I was like, it feels best to not make any decisions. And it's not really true, but I think that there was such a tendency here to subtly try and be decisive, and that was a good thing somehow, because I think in the conventional world it's good to be decisive rather than indecisive. So there was some like background pressure, I think. So like in contrast to that, there was a period where I naturally saw that, oh, it's kind of nice that actually maybe the best thing is to not make any decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it seems like they get done one way or another in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also kind of saw like this isn't a definitive thing at all, but I also kind of saw how whatever is in the other to want to make this happen, that doesn't disappear easily, like for the person. But for me, it can. And there was always this feeling of like, oh, if I don't act now, if I don't decide now, then they'll change their mind, or like this opportunity will go, or but I was less and less functioning from that place. It was actually I didn't need it. Actually, it wasn't fulfilling anything for me anymore. And only then did I see that these opportunities are still there because no one's emptying out. And it's not like I'm looking at them from a place of like, oh, how can I take advantage of them or anything. It was just seen like, oh, this body is empty, but there is still like motives there and agendas and wants and desires, and that's like never ending for the person.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it can be really interesting to see those. Um, right. Because sometimes it can be surprising. And sometimes I'd say for me, if I feel like, yeah, close, like the closer the relationship, and then even at work, the closeness or that we work together, you can feel more charged. The looking is really neat. If you can actually like say, I would like this because, and someone else can say, I would like this because, then, going and looking a little deeper at what everything means and what would happen, but we're not negotiating. We're actually just putting our cards on the table, would you say?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Being
And
honest, yeah.
yeah. And I've noticed like exactly if you're someone who's empty is not going to care at all, basically. But you would like it starts to get a lot easier for me to not have to have it be my outcome because once all of that's laid out, I can see that like their initial outcome or the new one, whatever it is, could work as well for me. Like there's a way it can work for sure.
Oh, nice. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. That's just one thing that's been the last little bit happened a lot for me. There's like I'm noticing a lot of communication patterns. It's really interesting watching like
Beautiful.
yeah, how people speak and um, what their defenses are, where they go to come from, and like I don't I talk a lot with people, but it's like the same people. So I'm
Mm,
learning I'm learning a lot because I get like the same sample over and over and over again. And
yeah,
yeah,
that's beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that in
so
itself, I could see how you could see a lot when you see that your what you wanted was not even necessarily, sometimes not even the most beneficial for you either.
yeah,
But there could have been an energy behind that that just really wanted that to happen or to
yeah.
get it. But now that that has softened, there's just more space to see, I guess, a bit more of the whole.
Yeah. And then energy is very protective and defensive because it's concerned that the other person won't fully understand, doesn't get this, doesn't, get this in the big picture. And so then in the smaller picture, they won't do this with me properly. They won't really listen to me.
Mm,
So there's a very defensive, protective energy, right? So I
that
have
makes
to let that
sense.
go, right, to be able to have the conversation, at least hold that much lighter. Because if I have all my defenses up, like, then yeah, it's not going to work on my end.
That is so beautiful, though. Like, it reminds me of a conversation I had with my sister. And you're right that we've just been having more and more conversations. And there was more of like, she'll never truly understand me, that was holding me back from saying even more.
Mm.
But what I have found with certain people is like their capacity to change with me or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
the more that I'm honest, why wouldn't they be in a way?
Yeah, it's like they come along for the ride even if they don't
It
know
just
it.
happens. It just happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tremendous. It's tremendous the amount of understanding I have now for my sister and her past and my parents and their past. And I really do see how there was so much here blocking that from happening, and not in a important blaming, or not that I even wanted or needed that to go away, but yeah, it's like, but I like that you emphasize communication because I didn't think of it that way before. But now I'm like, yeah, this was a part of this was also learning and stumbling a lot, like how to communicate, and also allowing myself to not want to communicate and feeling like they'll never understand. I feel like that was part of it in a way too.
Yeah. That when I was kind of like, maybe it's something I felt since I was a kid, honestly. The inability to communicate what I was saying through words. And it was actually devastating because they would use words back to try and soothe me and comfort me and say it's all okay. But like they didn't understand what I was talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know, I'd say now I think that I really didn't talk about stuff that deeply, probably after that point as an adolescence, because it was too hard to convey. And
Totally.
yeah, and I think now it's been really helpful to watch. It is like watching speech patterns, just like if you want to watch people walk to understand walking. So I try to do that. I try to listen, just to understand talking, because yeah, it's obviously it's it's spontaneous. Try to say it has spontaneity, but it's definitely muscular and patterned as well. So I imagine there must be helpful things to notice.
That's really beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
It makes sense. I was similar, unable, like understandably, to really communicate. You just don't have the tools yet, you know? And also, if most humans and parents, like, they're not totally equipped, they're still really wounded, you know? So I think only now do I truly deeply see that I was a child trying to manage a child. And I say that really neutrally, but it was like, how is a child supposed to do that and like know what to do and how to act properly and know what's healthy? And the only reason I'm saying that now is like, I still feel like I'm doing that, but I'm not a child anymore. Yeah, communication is powerful. It really
It
is.
is. It is. I'm going to say this just because I've never said it out loud before. And I just kind of thought of it. When I was a child, I was adopted as a very young baby.
Mm,
And and I was told, I was loved very much by my adoptive parents. And it was true. They did love me very much. And but the funny part is that any hint, anything that I said as I got a little bit older, indicating that I wanted to meet my birth parents, made them very, very sad, probably very scared. And
mm,
so what I needed for them to do was to help me find them and be okay with it. And
yeah.
well, the first didn't even happen. It was like they did not make an effort to help me find them. And the second is just, it reminded me when you said, a child couldn't take care of a child. My parents, I don't think they could have done that. They could have never been okay with that, like just based
Mm,
on how they were then. So
it's too threatening for them.
too threatening. And it was this thing that like never left the back of my mind. Like, I'm
Of
adopted.
course.
I don't really know who my parents are. It's like,
Of
this is
course.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it feels like a part of you is just like unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, growing up in a small town where there's no other families like that. So just very like sensitive child. And yeah, it's just a difficult set of conditions, I guess.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet your biological parents?
I actually did find them on my
Mm-hmm.
own when I
Mm-hmm.
was in my 30s and
Mm,
didn't really go great. But
mm-hmm.
I did get to meet them and get a bit of information. We don't have an ongoing relationship. They moved on and had families of their own, and it would have been too hard for their families to kind of have me around. Sort of the story I got. So,
Yeah. Can I ask why they made the decision to let you go?
well, honestly, they were not a couple, and my birth father, sorry, to like have me put up for adoption. Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So my birth father did not know that I existed, so that was a big
Okay.
surprise. Yeah. So I guess I could kind of see why he was like, no, thank you. But he did meet with me. And my birth mother, sadly, oh, very sadly, she seems really similar to me. And her upbringing was pretty tough, pretty, I don't know, busy, loud, semi abusive household. And she was pregnant and nobody knew.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. So, literally, like, she delivered me at the hospital, and that was the
Mm.
first that anybody knew of me.
Oh my
And
God.
I know, right? And
What the heck?
I was almost 8 pounds, okay? Like, I wasn't, so they say.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was pretty crazy. And then it was tough. She told me that her and her mom went back to the hospital when I was a week old and they were ready to like bring me home. They saw the OB who delivered me and he really talked, said to my mother who was finishing up high school, was like, just go to school, go to university, forget about this, just move on. And so,
Mm.
yeah. And they put me up for adoption.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
quite a story.
It's so funny because I actually wanted to talk about birth and children. I didn't get to it because I just rambled on for 45 minutes about other stuff.
Oh,
But
good. Oh man, I would love that topic.
yeah, yeah, it's so fascinating what I saw about, yeah, children and the decision to have a child. And yeah,
Oh yeah. Is I don't know. Imagine I've thought about it. I'm like someone who's very clear. That would be really, I don't know, that'd be amazing if that popped up and seemed like a decision. And for me, it came out of
mm,
fear. It was like, if I don't have children, I will regret it. Like a
sure,
simple, follow society's blueprint.
sure.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. Yeah,
Like, what do you do with your life? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Because there's always gonna kind of be like this emptiness or void and this like this projection into the future of like, yeah, what will my life look like? And will I miss out if I don't have a child? And sometimes you're told like it's the most beautiful thing that you can experience and it's like a love that you'll never experience. I was told that kind of stuff.
Like, it's gonna, like, approved, and then I'll do my, no, okay? Yeah, I would say honestly, if how it seems natural, I'd say it's a lot of work, and then in the end, it's heartbreaking because you truly have to let them go. Um,
Totally.
yeah, if I look around, what I see, in my opinion, is nothing but a meshed adult children and parents. I think is how it's
Totally.
described, right? Yeah,
Beautiful. They're like an
yeah.
extension of you, right? And
And I don't, yeah, I don't honestly, maybe there's even some jealousy. I couldn't do that with my parents because I don't jive with them like that. So I knew there was jealousy there. But I see people who are like, they call their parents every day. They take vacations with their parents. They might like share Netflix accounts or share money with their parents. Like they are like friends in a sense, or still like parent and child, but they're like 30 and 60. And
mm,
I'm not sure. Like, I know they call it enmeshment therapy. I don't know if it's, again, a bad or a good thing, but it's like there isn't a separation. It's not like a child going off to do whatever the child wants to do, the child moving across the world or taking a job, somewhere else, whatever.
yeah, I think it's probably a really healthy thing to, at some point in your life, learn how to be totally independent, which is, there are degrees to that for sure.
Yeah. Like a point, you could have a point where yeah, you're self reliant. You can go back with all the people you can go back to. It's always your parents, but like
Mm,
those can be the ones that I see people cling on to and start to worry about what will happen when they die. That's
hmm.
a stage as well. Yeah. So yeah, that was the most beautiful love. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is. It's a lifetime love, right? That's what people want. Something they can grab onto and be guaranteed. So that's what it is.
I don't believe that anymore. Like, I always had doubts about that. Like, maybe they're right. But I think I felt the love that they're talking about. Maybe not exactly that way, but the disappearance of that I felt. And so I know that to not be true anymore. That there is something different than that where you don't even need that anymore. So that wouldn't be in the equation if a child was brought into the world anymore. It wouldn't be to have this different feeling of love. It's a different version of like falling in love with someone, but it's in the same realm in a way for me now. And that's not necessary. It's not even a possibility anymore. Yeah, I mean, I've never been a type to feel like I needed kids to begin with anyway, so it doesn't seem likely, but yeah. Yeah, maybe I could discuss it like in depth more because it is fascinating. It is kind of
Yeah,
beautiful to
sure.
talk about.
Yeah, that would be great sometime.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was really nice to talk with you.
Yeah, you too, Becky, always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah, you too.